When I first arrived at the university, I was very pleased with the opportunities that students had to engage with their studies, but also very taken by the commitment of the university at senior level and across the academic community in terms of supporting their students. I was very struck by Augustine House because I felt that demonstrated that commitment in a tangible way in terms of the investment clearly that the building has taken, but also in terms of the consideration around the design in trying to enable a space for students that would help them with their studies and enhance their student experience.
I was hugely impressed. I've been here long enough that I remember the original library, which was dark, crowded, not really fit for purpose. So when Augustine House was opened, it was a revelation really, because a light, airy building, just fantastic.
I think if you were to walk through the building, what would strike you is the amount of space, the openness, the light, the fact that all of the balconies have seating areas on them. So lots and lots of open space.
I think that the light of the building allows you to be able to stay in here longer because it's such a bright building. You don't feel that you've been in the dark and locked in a room all day, so you feel like more productive and more excited to do work.
I did come here on a wet and windy Sunday morning and thought that no students would be here studying over the Christmas period, but they were. It felt a place where students would be able to come comfortably and feel safe to study no matter what time of day or day in the week.
Yes, it's a really nice space to be able to work in. I think that it's a fun space to be able to be in and not just an office-based white walls and boring furniture.
So it's another place where they can come and access the library resources, but also access the expertise of staff around them within Augustine House, and also to enjoy a coffee and have a break. So I think it really does enhance the student experience in total.
It's interesting really, because the library, you don't tend to think of a library as a social space, but what's fantastic about Augustine House is that it has variable social areas. So if you've been studying for a long time in the quiet zone on your own, you can pop out and have 10 minutes of downtime sat in one of the open areas with your friends and have a chat, have a coffee, and just really sort of, let off steam, as it were. So yeah, it has. One of the interesting things about Augustine House is it has become, almost unintentionally, another social space, which is fantastic.
We were trying to work very closely with our staff and students, so we had, for example, a group that was looking particularly at access for students and staff with disabilities. We had groups that were looking at the learning and teaching. We had groups that were looking at technology, and all of that was pulled together.
We used to come in and do like long day stints, so we'd come in about 9-10 o'clock and stay here till like 3, but you'd pick a space to work in and you'd move furniture around and get borrows and have a computer as well and get books and stuff. Like, it's a flexible space for students to be able to work how they want to work in it and how they feel comfortable.
I think Augustine House meets the learning and student experience in a very, very effective way. It's a nice space for students to come and study, and also to talk about their learning in terms of with groups. And also I think it creates a different feel from perhaps their campus or their teaching rooms.
There was 3 main elements. The one was obviously to support academic work, particularly learning and teaching. The other was to provide flexible learning spaces, and importantly to bring together all of our support services in an integrated model. The design was always set up in a way to look to the future. While we can't obviously be future-proof and guess everything that might come, we certainly were looking very carefully that gave as broad a platform as possible. And we've changed, things do evolve and change over time. For example, we have the borrows, which are like mini laptops that students can use. The design of those has changed slightly in the last year. So I think in a way we're seeing that we can be responsive to changing technologies already.
I think that's one of the defining features of this library actually, is that it has evolved in the years it's been open. It's been able to meet every challenge that's sort of come at it. So where we've seen a huge increase in open access areas and sort of diverse learning areas, if the shift moves towards more independent learning, then the library has the capability to deal with that as well. It can move back, funny enough, towards how it was almost initially set up.
And again, we've seen that. The building has now been open for 3-4 years, and spaces have changed. The staffing areas have changed, the use of Augustine Hall has changed. So I think again we're demonstrating that the design was broad enough and flexible enough to allow for those changes.
To sum up the building in 3 words, I'd say it was light, spacious, welcoming and inviting.
Flexible, modern and interactive.
Exciting, vibrant, alive.